You know, I have to say that being the very first generation that got introduced to Pokemon and going out and getting special edition hardware, including special GBA edition of the Pikachu and the 3DS and actually multiple versions of it, I actually couldn't care less about this week's Pokemon Company presentation. And I think I have a pretty good reason why. Okay, so confession time, guys. I've actually been playing a Pokemon series side by side with the Yakuza 0. Now, I've been playing that because I've been going through a recent nostalgia kick, and I could get really into that. But first, I want to kind of let you guys know that Pokemon as a series has been pretty much a big deal for me. I've played the Pokemon series since its very first inception, coming to the shores of the US. I remember watching the anime with the original lineup of Brock, Misty, and Ash, and everyone going crazy over a little yellow mouse named Pikachu, which is arguably, and I think it's actually verified, even more popular than the other mouse from Disney. You know, Mickey Mouse. But then to see and hear about the travesty, and I do mean travesty, that is the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet response from reviewers and people who've been playing it, I was just shocked, like completely shocked, because there was just tons of performance issues, and it just was like, why? Why? Especially because Nintendo seems to be a company that lives by this ethos of, if you have a good idea and you have confidence that you can do it well, then you should take the time that you need to really get this polished before you kind of push it out. Even though Pokemon is not necessarily a Nintendo company, the fact that it has such a close relationship with Nintendo, we kind of was just like, how do you just push this out anyway? Like, what was motivating you to do so? I think looking at it now, probably in hindsight, a lot of people could say, yeah, take that extra year or so to really make sure that this thing actually works correctly, rather than seeing all the pop-ins and all the other issues that people have been seeing here. I don't know what to say. I wish that things have been better, but seeing that got me motivated to be like, well, I want to see how the series has actually evolved throughout the years, where it is at today. Like, has it just been kind of stagnant, or has all the little improvements kind of caught up to make something really spectacular here? I thought that I would try to play it in chronological order of the series, not the actual games themselves. And the fact of the matter is, there's a lot that I could really tell you about it. First off, when I played the games, I started with Pokemon Leaf Green, the quote-unquote entry that didn't make it here, we sort of did. But I played Leaf Green, and that's like a far cry from Pokemon Red and Blue, because of just the quality of life improvements they included there, like seeing the progress of the XP in there, and just the updated visuals on that. I think that was really great. I mean, seeing everything in color and the actual updated models of the Pokemon itself. So that was a real treat. And of course, I beat the Elite Four, because you gotta do that, right? Playing the next entry, which was Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. This was a remake that I was really looking forward to. This is something that I've said, I've played the original. This is something that has had the best sequel in my mind ever, and it did not disappoint. I mean, it was really great to play through that game and kind of get that nostalgia, but still feel like something was new there. There were some like slight tweaks here and there. Overall, like, I did not take away from the overall experience. It did kind of like hit me though, that I was like, man, there's so many HMs in this thing, and why do we have to do this whole HM bit again? What is the whole purpose? Going from that to then moving on to the 3DS remake of Ruby and Sapphire, which I've never ever played, by the way. That was something totally different, and like, of course, everyone's kind of thinking of IGN's quote of too much water, but I mean, I played through it. I could sort of see what they're talking about, but still, yeah, I don't think it detracted from the experience. I played through the game. It was kind of a long game for me, even though they had this really amazing implementation of experience share, because that helped me get through the game a lot quicker and allowed me to feel like I had the freedom of changing up my team. I'm sorry to you guys out there who are like, did you do EVs and IVs? Like, I'm not about that. I can't spend 500 plus hours on a game just so that I can perfect my team. That's just not me. But if that's you, all the more power to you, of course. I played through that, got through the Elite Four, which was still a bit of a challenge for me because I was thinking there's no other Elite Four champion that's more scary than Lance from Gold and Silver. This one, yeah, it was still a challenge, but I'd still stand by my word. So fight me on that. If you're gonna tell me that the champion from Ruby and Silver is way more scary than the one from Gold and Silver, I will take you any day on that. But then trying to play Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl on the Switch, I'm still working through that. It's pretty interesting to see that they've made this bold decision to just make experience share default, which I'm not sure how I feel about that because I'm still playing through that game. I've got about 2 badges and I've just been so busy catching Pokemon left and right, which has just been an utter joy to do because it's less about, oh, you know, let me just get 4 Pokemon here, let me find some Pokemon here, but what's the chance that I actually run into something that I haven't really seen before, or seeing an old familiar kind of face but with this updated kind of model. That's been really great. I'm not really too into the whole berry and poffin system. I could care less, honestly. Like, really, what I don't know. I guess if there's certain fans out there who are really enjoying that. Playing through those games have been pretty interesting. Now, in terms of like the villains for each one of those, I can tell you that having Team Rocket in the first one, I didn't really realize like how dark that was in the game itself, because you're being basically sold Pokemon who are then in the first time, and then you're kind of going through the fact that just people just abusing Pokemon. And it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty bad. But then, like, second gen, they were trying to do this whole thing over the airwaves of trying to get Pokemon to all be under their kind of control. And I think there was even an insinuation, actually, of cutting off Slowpoke's tail. You forget as a little kid that, my God, they're actually taking these Slowpokes and there's someone that's literally mutilating the tail off of these guys. So that to have that imagery in your head is crazy to put into like a kid's games. And then there's also, you have supernatural spirit kind of things, which are also, how does this not kind of creep out a kid? How did this get away with an E rating? To go through that and then having the Ruby and Silver, I thought those villains were just like kind of meh. Like, I couldn't quite understand their motivation of trying to save the world or save Pokemon, making it all water or all land. It's kind of a silly premise if you ask me. Catching the Pokemon in there was a bit of a challenge in some parts of it. Right now I'm still working on Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but I haven't quite made out exactly what is their entire goal right now. I'm going to be playing through that, and what my plan next is to do, and it's going to be really hard for me to do it, is go and play Black and White, because it's not the fact that I'm not looking forward to the story. I think I am, because a lot of people seem to believe that that is one of the better stories for Pokemon series. It's just that I've gotten so used to some of the quality of life features. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I don't need to carry around HM. The fact that I don't have to do this obnoxious exercise of trying to agonize over where do I assign this HM to like which Pokemon, because they'll never be able to use that slot again, has been so freeing and so welcome that I really find it daunting. And I don't even think the Black and White series, the XP share is there either. It's just going to be a slog to kind of grind. I'm not really necessarily looking forward to that. Hopefully the story will carry it much farther than whatever it is that these gameplay mechanics that I'm going to be missing, or the quality of life stuff that I'm going to be missing. I'm also not necessarily a fan of like double battles. I feel like it's more of a gimmick rather than more strategy. Maybe I just haven't played professionally or something like that. And I know that in Black and White, and Black and White 2 perhaps, they do triple battles, which, okay, why? I know that there's some more things that are going to happen down the road. Like, I know in Sword and Shield, they're going to have something called raid battles, where you're gonna be your particular Pokemon against like several wild Pokemon. I know in Pokemon X and Y there's like this whole Mega Evolution bit, but I think that was sort of a gimmicky. I know that I don't want to upset up you guys out there who are playing competitively, but I don't really see how that really adds to the overall experience. But all in all, I'm still looking forward to how the series progresses for sure. These quality of life stuff is really great. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is actually a culmination of all these quality of life improvements up into like this point, because it was, I think, released, it can't be more than like 2 or 3 years ago. It's really hard to go back to the old system. I also realized that in Scarlet and Violet that there's going to be some new things, and there's going to be a lot of content coming out for this. And so that takes me to today, right? So we see that there's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I mean, these games have been selling like crazy for 22 million copies. That's, I think that's like within the first week alone. It's the best-selling Pokemon game in the series to date, like bar none. And that's just how much faith people had in these games, that there was going to reach a certain particular level of quality. And to just see all these frame rate stutters, and even with the consecutive patches, because I have actually been watching these videos of how they address the performance issues, and it's kind of like a sort of, and it's kind of disappointing, because it's like, how are you doing a sort of, and then all of a sudden you're starting to push even more content? Well, that kind of seems like you're not really addressing the performance issues. And that's why I feel like I'm not going to be playing the 9th gen of Pokemon. I'm not going to be playing Scarlet and Violet. I hope that they do work out those issues. When they do it, yeah, I'll be right there. I'm really curious as to see the Pokemon company's real honest effort into trying to make Pokemon into an open world series, like trying to stay true to its classic identity while trying to still push the series forward. I don't know if 9th gen could be saved. It's been several months, and they're talking about DLC waves, but then nobody's really been mentioning about performance improvements and really, meeting it head on and saying, hey, let's go ahead and do this. And until we get this done correctly, we're not going to be pushing out content. And I think that's what's really bothering me, especially that we're going to be seeing in 2024, as many media outlets have seemingly almost confirmed at this point, that we're going to see, most likely in holiday 2024, the launch of the successor of the Switch. Maybe that's going to be compatible, and maybe that's supposed to solve all the performance issues. I'm not sure. I'm not going to hold my breath, because, as you know, you never buy something based on a promise. You buy something based on what you have in front of you today. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening, by the way. So wherever you get this, I'm so glad that you've joined me. Please like, subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment. I'm really curious about what your thoughts are on the Pokemon series, whether or not I'm being a little too harsh on it, or what you think I should really be checking out in the Pokemon series to really enhance my experience. Thank you, guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.